Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. I hope everybody had a great week to mentally relax and de-stress from the market, taking a little bit of a breather. However, we're seeing the overnight hours and futures that are opening up quite green right now as we speak, ahead of a shortened trading week with Thanksgiving. There'll be no trading on that day, of course. And then we have shortened trading hours on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. On top of that, we're going to be talking about some interesting things that we've been seeing across the market. Especially the cryptocurrency market over the weekend. We're seeing a little bit of optimism that's coming back into Bitcoin and Ethereum, and kind of talking about, don't want to speak too soon, but have we finally reached a bottom after a lot of these individual names have sold off about 30 to 50%, especially with more of the AI spec names, some of these data center plays, and it's really interesting to see across the board. And with the crypto market taking about a 30% breather, with all that being said, what does that leave for Palantir? That's sitting right now at the mid 150s. We'll be talking about that. So if you're a new or returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, try to hit 30,000 subscribers. That's our goal. Pop it up on the screen here. Palantir closes on Friday's close at 154.85, down about 0.5%. It pretty much kind of consolidates on the day. In terms of Palantir, we lost that strong level of support, which it sucked. Right here, between this base that was being established, between the 170 and the 187, kind of 184 level we've been talking about, that support was lost. You see Palantir quickly pushes down here with a lot of selling pressure to the mid 150s. And that's where you do also have another consolidation zone, kind of like this consolidation zone here between 170 and the 186. Palantir has this area to hopefully support. We've seen a reversal basically right at that 150. And currently in the overnight hours, Palantir is up about $4 at 158.70. So if we see a lot of momentum and buying pressure that creeps back into the market, if we see a sign of relief, especially with the fear and greed index that last week was at single digits, I think Palantir could hopefully reclaim this 170 level of support, especially as we're continuing to see some momentum across the board right now, but don't want to speak too soon. We could, of course, this could be, some type of a bull trap, and we continue to have a breaking down a correction within the market. I'm here posting that futures, they are up across the board, and we're continuing to see that with the SPY here up about $3.50. Currently trading at 662. Now, where the market actually finished on the S&P 500 was right at 6,600, which I actually like this for a Friday close. 6,600 is a decent support level that we've seen for the S&P 500, and we've actually seen a lot of choppiness between 66 and 6,700. So if we continue to see some consolidation in the zone, I think that would be good in terms of a healthy breather, and hoping not to see a return back into the 65s. We saw that a few times and some good bounces at the 65s, so it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially at the 65.50. But nonetheless, looking at the markets, what are we going to be expecting this week? A big thing that we're going to be looking at is retail sales. Now, so far, the retailer has been relatively resilient, and that's what we saw last week with Walmart's, or if it was even the week before or whatever, but recently with Walmart's earnings, they beat earnings, and that was really important for the market in terms of what is the retail consumer confidence looking like, especially as we enter into the Thanksgiving holiday with Black Friday. Like I said, we're going to have a shortened market this week. However, we are going to have the September report on U.S. retail sales that will be released. This was delayed by the government, so that's why we're getting September's data coming out here. It's going to be released just ahead of Black Friday. So weekly jobless claims, pending home sales, and durable goods, and the latest consumer confidence here are also on time. So with this data that's going to be coming out, this could be a good indicator leading into the end of the year, especially not just Black Friday, but we have the whole holiday shopping season ahead of us. How is the retailer going to be looking at? How does that going to bring confidence into the market? On top of that, we have John Deere, Dell, Alibaba that are going to be reporting some earnings. Not huge earning reporters. Alibaba could be a relatively big one, but also on top of that, just with the retail sales, that's probably what I'll be looking at the most. Also on top here with the initial jobless claims. But nonetheless, probably not going to be a ton of trading that occurs this week, but hopefully we continue to see some consolidation or possibly some buying pressure into the market. Consolidation if trading volumes do kind of settle down as we go towards the holiday. With cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin. We do have Bitcoin that is currently at 87,000. We're seeing a little bit of relief that's coming back into here, especially as Bitcoin established a nice local bottom recently at the 80,000. Now, is that this actual whole swings in this whole kind of corrections bottom? I don't know, but currently up $7,000 from that bottom. Looks quite nice. We see the same thing kind of with Ethereum sitting here at about 28.56. I think what could be really nice to help reinsure that possibly a bottom was established. I mean, we still have kind of this fear and greed at 12 right here. Looking to see the 90,000 reclaimed on Bitcoin and looking to see 3,000 reclaimed on Ethereum, hopefully establishing some support levels there as we could continue the next leg up into the end of the year rally that everybody is basically been expecting. We've seen that with Tom Lee, of course, with BMNR, up about $2 nearly in the overnight hours right here at $28. BMNR, for people that have been holding, they've been taking a strong beating. But, during this whole time, we've seen Tom Lee that has remained very optimistic. And that's what personally got me into BMNR, because you kind of have a traditional a Wall Street guru or a very reputable person from traditional, finance that transitioned to kind of taking the lead on the cryptocurrency, the digital asset treasuries. And that's what we're seeing with BMNR right here as institutions. And a lot of the big traditional financial sector niches are continuing to load up on BMNR. So I think we're going to see a possible rally. Depends on when that's going to happen. Crypto is a very volatile asset. So if you can't handle that volatility or holding during these kind of extreme downturns that we've seen, then might not be the best thing to basically stomach in terms of just your mental health. But looking from Bitcoin right here that corrected, from the 120s down here to this level, back up above 100,000. I think people were kind of begging to see Bitcoin under 100,000 again to try to basically accumulate BTC at a cheaper price compared to what it's probably going to be over the next 5 years to even the next decade. So where do we sit here with the broader market? What stocks am I personally looking at? Personally, what I've seen and with specific deals that have been established recently, we saw that Cypher deal with that 50 megawatt deal that was recently signed. Looking at these AI data center plays, in simplicity, you can do more, due diligence and research into the actual specific companies and the fundamentals behind them. But you have IREN that has taken a strong correction from that 76 down to the 42 here. Same thing with Cypher, 25 down here to the 14. And with other more reputable, kind of more established ones that might ring a bell more if you're new to the AI data center trade, looking at Nebius and, of course, CoreWeave. CoreWeave has taken a beating. So these are kind of competing against each other for power. We know AI compute, and we've seen this especially since NVIDIA's recent earnings, that AI compute, the demand for that is not going to be slowing down in any way, shape, or form. So personally, I don't think we're going to have a strong going into some crazy long bear market. I'm just not personally seeing signs of a bear market. This is looking more like a correction that is healthy with a lot of frothiness and leverage that's being taken out of the system. In terms of the fear and greed index, looking at those like we just saw on CoinMarketCap right here, looking at this was at 12. We've seen the one on the equity markets down in the single digits. The last time we saw that was around the April tariffs. And look at what we saw in terms of a reversal from the bottoms of April and where we are sitting now. It's experiencing a little bit of sell-off. For people that have made it through here, I think a relief rally is kind of in the works. Of course, that could be completely wrong if we see any big changes in the macroeconomic environment, if we see any big headlines. I mean, we never know with this political atmosphere what type of big headlines that we could get that could switch this. But that's just what I'm personally thinking. That's what my own opinion is leading me to and kind of what my gut feeling is leading to. In terms of, the fear and greed index at these low single digits, we're not that far off from all-time highs in the S&P 500 right here. And that's just typically what we don't see in bear markets and historically what we've seen just looking at the data. So right now, a correction. And I think we should hopefully get into this end of the year rally. I mean, 2026 is going to be a whole another question. We can do another video on that, and I'll be talking about that in future videos, especially as we continue to approach 2026. But December is coming up here. So November, was this the month to take a breather, and will there be a next leg up, or is it going to continue to downtrend? What's your opinion on it? Peace out, take care, and I'll catch you guys later. Let's have a great, wonderful, shortened week here.